Hi there. In this video, we're going to get our first glance at the group by transformation here inside Power Query. So to start off with, we're in the groupby.xlsx workbook, and we're in the intro sheet. So here's the data we're going to work with. Let's click on it, head up to the Power Query tab in the ribbon, and get our data from a table. So the way group by works is basically what it's going to do is it's going to do sort of two types of things. It's going to first reduce the number of rows in a table sort of by grouping by one or more columns, and then it's going to perform aggregations on other rows. And that sounds kind of abstract, conceptual. Perhaps an example will help this make sense. So right now we've got this table right here. We've only got two columns. We've got a category column and a value column. We're going to group by the category and perform an aggregation on the value column. So when we group by, what we're going to do is, if you'll notice here, there's two distinct values here in the category column. There's A and there's B. So in the table that we're going to get from the group by, rather than there being 5 rows, there's going to be 2, one for each distinct value of the column we are grouping by. And then for each one of those columns, we're going to be able to perform an aggregation. So we could say, hey, I want you to sum up all the values that correspond to the category A. And so it would, in the next A row, it would add 5, 15, and 20 together and get the result, and that would be the sum for A. And then for B, it would add 4 and 8 together and get 12, and that would be the sum for B. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's head up here to group by. Okay, so the first thing it wants to know is what column would you like to group by? Well, in this easy example, we're only going to group by one column, and it's going to be category. We could select group by value, but we're not. We're going to group by category. Okay. And the next thing it wants to know is what additional column do you want to add? Now, we don't actually have to add a column. We can hit the subtraction thing here and not have any aggregations, but we want an aggregation. So we're going to call this the total value. Okay, and what operation do you want? Which kind of aggregation do you want to do? We could do a sum, we could do an average, a median, min, max, all of those. Well, we're just going to do a sum. We're going to add up all of the values associated with A and then all of the values associated with B. So which column do we want to aggregate on? Well, we actually don't want to aggregate on category. We want to aggregate on value. These are the numbers we want to add up. So for A, we want to add up these, and for B, we want to add up these. So I'm going to click OK. And there we go. So notice now we've got just 2 rows, one for A and one for B, 40 and 12. And if we come back over here, here's all the A's, and they add up to 40. And here's all the B's, and they add up to 12. Okay? So essentially what we've done is we've grouped by category and then aggregated the total value. So I'm going to come back here to the gear icon, and instead of performing a sum as an aggregator, we're going to perform, let's perform an average. So now we're going to group just like before, click OK. And so now, instead of taking all the values associated with category A and summing them all up, it's going to take the average. And instead of taking all the values from B and summing them up, it's going to take the average. So here, this 13.333 repeating, that is the average of these 3 values associated with A. And over here, the value of 6 is the average associated with these 2 values of B over here. Okay, also, click on the gear icon right there. We can have multiple aggregation rows. In fact, I probably should have changed this from total value to average value. I'm going to do that right now, average value. And the next one I'm going to have total value. So you can have more than one aggregation. And we're also going to aggregate on value again. Click OK. So now we've got both aggregations. We've got the average for all the A's in the other row, or the average of value for all the A's in the other row, and the total of the value for all the A's in the other table, and likewise for B. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to remove that step just so you can see me click the button one more time. I'm going to head up to group by. The very last thing I'm going to do, and if this is confusing, don't worry about it. You can just kind of let it go. Again, we're going to group by category, but now instead of performing an aggregation, we're actually going to come down here and click all rows. Okay. And I'm just going to call this filtered table. Okay. And notice here I can no longer select a column, and you'll see why in a second if I click OK. So now instead of getting an aggregated value, what I instead get, if I click here, not here on the actual little table text, but here over to the right, click in the white space, I get a preview. If you notice, now I've got this table, the table I started with, but filtered only to include the rows where the category was equal to A. So if I click here, I get this change type table, except filtered only to the rows where the category equals A. And then here, I've got the change type table, but only the rows where the category equals B. So I've only got these 2 rows for the second one and these 3 rows for the first one. See there and there. All right, in the next video, we're going to do a bit more of a concrete example, and hopefully that'll help cement these ideas in your head. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you next video.